Thousands of athletes going for the gold, and as the clear champion of the bathroom, Dollar Shave Club deserves a gold medal. Dollar Shave Club has everything you need to look, smell, and feel your best. Shampoo, body wash, toothpaste, and of course, the best razors you'll ever use. You get an amazing high-quality shave every morning from the DSC Executive Razor. Plus, the true gold standard of any morning routine is their Dr. Carver Shave Butter. It helps the razor gently glide across your skin. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything to you. That means no more trips to the store, wandering the aisles, hunting for razors, shampoo, and toothpaste, then playing cashier, scanning and bagging your stuff. Go for the gold. Join Dollar Shave Club today, and for just $5 with free shipping, you'll get the 6-blade executive razor plus trial sizes of shave butter, body cleanser, and one-wipe Charlies. Then keep the blades coming for a few bucks more a month. Get yours at dollarshaveclub.com/Golic. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Golic.
I'd never give for trade today. We are Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2 with Senior and Junior for the next hour. Presented by Progressive Insurance. All of our phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Great guest list today. Larry Nance coming up. The 3-time All-Star, 1984 Slam Dunk Champion coming up 30 minutes from now. Keith Olbermann an hour from now. Tim Legler at 8:30. And Katie Nolan at 9:30 as well. So we're mixing it up all over the place today. We're talking Winter Olympics. We're also talking about the dog show.
Yeah.
It is, of course, Valentine's Day. So send us your most epic fails. Tweet the show at Golic and Wingo.
As far as the dog show was concerned, we just talked about that. Congrats to Flynn, the Bichon Frise, who won Best in Show last night. Mm-hmm. But you mentioned the dog that didn't make the final.
Spicy Nacho.
Spicy Nacho. Our own Buster only chimed in on that one.
Yeah, Buster's all over it.
I love this out of Buster.
Yeah.
But he said, let's be honest. No Westminster Kennel Show judge is voting for a dog named Spicy Nacho. Maybe the Cleveland Kennel Club. That's an unfair shot.
Wow.
But not Westminster. I put the L on the owner. The dog is absolved of any responsibility in this defeat. This is on the owner because of the name. And think about that.
I treat that way with all these cases. I'm not going to put any of the blame on the dogs in these situations.
No blame on the doggies. Every dog's a winner.
Yeah, they're very good dogs. They're all very good boys and girls out there. I don't see any reason to lay blame at their feet regardless, but this is interesting because this is one of those places, you talk about this with your movie preferences all the time, where it's not quite going to meet the highbrow expectations of an Oscar-nominated film per se. Mm-hmm. And with the dog show, the expectations for these dogs aren't necessarily what we're used to. We like the begging, we like the jumping, we like the hugging and the affection. Those things don't necessarily play well with the judges all the time here.
No, that's very true. Yeah. They want to see the prim and proper of it sometimes. And you know what? I like a dog that's not really prim and proper.
So you think it's a little bit too...
We have 3 of them.
I was going to say, you don't want to have any elitism, right? It's supposed to be it's an everyman. But I get the fact there's a certain type of pageantry here.
Yeah, I get it. I understand
that.
A
little bit of history here as well. So you got to mix things up a little bit. All right. Like I said, we'll mix in those Valentine's Day stories and dog comments as well. But here's what's trending. Tiger Woods paired with Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas at the Riviera. Now, Tiger has yet to commit to his adopted hometown tournament. That would be the Honda Classic, waiting to see how he fares in the opening rounds of the Genesis Open at Rivera Country Club. I think it would be a great sign if I do play. I think it would be a smart sign if I didn't play. How about that? Does that dance pretty good? Tiger, he's 42, making his 3rd tournament start since returning from spinal fusion surgery last year. 2 weeks after a tie for 23rd at the Farmers Insurance Open, he tees off Thursday at 10:22 a.m. Tongue firmly planted in cheek with that answer.
What an answer that is. I mean, the Tiger comeback yet again for how many ever times this is, him coming back. And what's the goal again? Is the goal again to make the cut? Do we? When do we stop saying make the cut? When he makes a few cuts in a row, I guess. So I still think, to me, Mike, that's the goal for him, is to be able to get 4 days in and not just 2 days in, and then go from there.
The goal is still to finish the round you started. One or 2 rounds for me, especially one that was far less serious, where you don't see him doubled over or wincing in pain, is not enough yet for me. I wonder personally what that threshold looks like for me, but for him too, the mental anguish in this. We talk about Markelle Fultz and what he's dealing with. Tiger's been dealing with this for a long time. The swing changes, the injuries that have all mounted to a point where confidence is just what you want to see again from a guy that was once the most dominant golfer we'd ever seen.
You're bang on, Mike Jr., because that's what it ends up becoming. Is you go, all right, physical talent, where's the back at? If you're playing, then I'm just going to assume you're good enough, right? I don't want to hear 60%, 80%. I'm not besmirching him, but I just assume if you're physically able, you can do it. Now it's mentally, how can you handle it? And of course, the big thing, as you guys know, with golf, it's always how do you bounce back round to round. It's always the wear and tear. Okay, first round came in hot, second round's fine, third round, now is the back aching up a little bit. But obviously the mental struggle is a big part of it. But that's an interesting answer.
It really
a great
is
shot if I play, probably smart if I don't.
Yeah, and all eyes, I'm sure, will be on the driver since his driver was all over the place in the last tournament he was in. So to see if he's got that squared away a little bit.
Love this story with spring training now. Pitchers and catchers reporting. Going to have Keith Olbermann on later on, but an hour from now, talk baseball. But Angels manager Mike Scioscia says the pitching comes first for Shohei Ohtani. He's part of a 6-man starting rotation now for the Angels. His exposure as a designated hitter will be based in part of the workload he's prepared to handle. The Angels regard him as a pitcher first. They'll work off that assumption in assessing his offensive role. Obviously, he was a major signing coming over from Japan. He wants to hit and he wants to pitch. And Scioscia said he's going to get the most looks as a pitcher. If he can pitch to his capabilities, that will always influence your team more than what he would do hitting. But that's not to say he won't have a chance to be a difference maker on the offensive end, too. I hope he's a huge success because I wish more guys did this. I was like a guy who can actually hit.
You grew up doing this, right?
You pitch and you can hit.
Weren't some of your best players growing when you were a young player? Your best players were your pitchers.
Right.
And then they were your best hitters as well. And then obviously along the ride up the ladder there, that separates.
So I get the fact you throw 7 scoreless the next day, obviously you need a break. But if he wants to hit and DH the next day, Mike Jr., I'm all for it. If he's a good hitter, let's go.
Exactly. But you can understand the organization, again, protecting the resource for right now and saying, we're not going to dump this all at once. We understand this is part of a bigger plan for us to make sure that this is an asset for us for a good long time, making sure we don't overload right in the front of this.
Yeah, so it's all going to be pitching. He's got to perform pitching. And you know what? To me, if it's going well, you got to throw him a bone every now and then and see if it leads to more and more and more because he's used to doing that. But we'll see what he does pitching first in the 6-man rotation. But I personally am excited to see if he would be pitching and he would be hitting as well.
You're right. It's going to be tricky, though. Like, imagine he gets shelled and they go, okay, now you can't hit for a few days. He'll be like, no, I need to hit again because I was going to say,
I
only pitched 3 innings. I stuck, so let me hit and make up for it.
Well, that would be the other side. Yeah, if he failed miserably pitching, well, okay, now go hit.
Exactly.
We got to do something for this money we're paying you, huh?
Exactly.
Well, actually, it's not a ton of money right now. He actually could have made more if he had waited another 2 years before he'd come over.
That's a good point. And also, new Colts coach Frank Reich embraces the role as backup. Spent the majority of his 14-year NFL career playing as a backup quarterback. He was the backup option as the Indianapolis Colts head coach after Josh McDaniels reneged on his agreement at the last minute. The backup role has suited me well in my career, Reich said, a room full of laughs during his introductory press conference at Lucas Oil Stadium. A little bit of self-deprecation always endears yourself to the locals.
It does, but let's be honest, he wasn't even the backup to this job. I mean, he was pretty down deep in the lineup. As far as who they were looking at initially.
To your point, Mike, Chris
job.
Ballard, the GM, had Reich on his initial list of nearly 10 candidates back in December, but did not make the GM's top 5 list.
Right. So he was down the list a little bit, but came in here to save the day after Josh McDaniels, backs out of this. So that, as we talked about, they get the winning offensive coordinator from the NFL this year, not the losing offensive coordinator in the Super Bowl. So listen, it's a role he's relished his entire career from a backup. It's not like you're not going to hurt the feelings of a guy like Frank Reich.
No,
you're just not going to. He's lived a life of having to come in at certain times when the better players aren't performing or are hurt. So, this isn't going to get to him at all.
You just wonder what the leash looks like for this guy, because the one thing you also learn in that backup role as a player or as a reserve player is you are not afforded the same number of opportunities or the chances to screw them up that someone who comes in with a bit more fanfare, that someone like Josh McDaniels would probably have been afforded based on your initial thoughts on them. So what does that look like, especially for a team with an uncertain future at quarterback?
That's a great point, because it goes down to players as well, doesn't it? I mean, this goes down to players as well. When you're that first or second choice, whether it's a coach or a player, you get a little bit of leeway. But when you're not, man, you all of a sudden your mistakes, you don't get to work through them as much, from a player standpoint or a lower tiered coach from some standpoint. We'll see, because he needs a lot of help in that team around him. A lot's going to be thrown on him as a head coach, but there's not a whole lot to work with right now.
Uphill climb right now. No, come on, Cliff. It was 1 second. No. If it's 1 second, it's okay.
They're sharks. They're jackals.
It's a very quick recovery.
They're very quick.
Very quick recovery. Uphill climb right now for Frank Reich, but we'll see what happens with the Colts. Golic and Wingo is presented by Dollar Shave Club, brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Upgrade to shaving with a fresh blade whenever you want for a fraction of the price. Join DollarShaveClub.com today. Adnan Verk in for Trey. We are Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Mike Jr. not sitting this segment out, but this could be a painful one. NCAA denied Notre Dame's appeal of a decision to vacate 21 football victories because of academic misconduct, including all 12 wins from the school's 2012 national championship game run. For those who are unaware, of course, that's when Mike Jr. was on the team, offensive lineman. Notre Dame's president, the Reverend John Jenkins, criticized the decision in a letter to alumni, saying the penalty was unprecedented considering who was involved in the misconduct and that the school was being punished for rigorously enforcing its honor code. Called the ruling unfair. Notre Dame agreed to accept certain NCAA findings, acknowledged cheating involving several football players and a student athletic trainer, but appealed only the penalty that vacated the victories. So the NCAA stripping the Irish 21 wins, fined the school $5,000 and placed the school on 1 year's probation. That was in November of 2016. Right. And just, of course, again, Mike Jr. knows as well. National runner-up in 2012, lost to Bama in the title game, finished 12-1, went 9-4 in 2013. Mike Jr., your floor is yours first.
It's gotten beyond the point because I did the initial rant when this came out. This is something I'd almost forgotten about through the course of the appeals process.
I had forgotten about it, quite honestly.
Absolutely. And we had the conversation the first time around where you look at it and you say, well, what's the value really of stripping away wins that we all know are there? I had someone tweet me this morning and saying in the internet age where we can all go back and see those games, it's impossible to erase them.
Agreed.
But for a place like Notre Dame, where having those on the ledger matters, we're having it relative to your all-time position. We know that win percentage, they constantly waffle with Michigan 4-1-2 all-time. This knocks them down considerably.
To number 6.
That all really becomes secondary at this point because, again, you're not really going to rewrite history, but what you've done is you've now slighted someone who in this was really an ally for you, right? The way that Notre Dame operates, because you know this as well as I do, when they talk about that honor code is different. The honor code expects more out of you than what the NCAA is going to expect out of you as a student athlete. The barriers and the markers that you have to meet at Notre Dame are different. And so they're saying we held ourselves accountable and that wasn't good enough for you. Another instance, and we've seen plenty of them. I know Jay Billis had this tweet. The NCAA totally oversteps its bounds again. The Penn State overreach means nobody will investigate themselves again. This was a student issue to which Notre Dame applied its honor code. Now nobody will apply that honor code again. When you've got a school like Notre Dame that can be the beacon of this for you and say, we prop this up all the time. The NCAA loves the student athlete mantra, and Notre Dame actually backs up what you're looking for in that, and now you've lost them. Good luck. For a sea full of people, a tide full of people already calling for, what do we need the NCAA for anyway? John Jenkins and company got to be looking at them and going, yep, exactly. What do we need you for?
Well, and for those who may not remember what went on, this was a couple of football players who were cheating and who were doing the cheating with a part-time assistant trainer. And basically what the NCAA said was that part-time assistant trainer was a representative of the institution. And basically what John Jenkins is saying, there's no precedent in previous NCAA cases for the decision to add a discretionary penalty of vacation of team records in a case of student-to-student cheating involving a part-time student worker who has no role in academic advising. And let me tell you, one guy that a lot of you may not know that we have gotten to know is Father John Jenkins, the president of Notre Dame. He's more of a quiet man, and he got riled. You riled that, and the letter he sent out in rebuttal to this, explaining a lot of these things much better than I would ever have a chance of explaining. You can get closer to him than certainly I can of explaining what's going on here, but to your point, I heard you before, and what Jay's point is as well. Notre Dame, I know a lot of people hate Notre Dame and say you're elitist and blah, blah, blah. Fine. But Notre Dame has higher standards to get in for student athletes than the NCAA does. That's a fact. It just is. So however you want to look at that. And what Notre Dame holds its student athletes to is at a higher standard than other schools and what the NCAA would deem these standards. And Notre Dame, they disciplined when these student athletes were cheating. And so to the point that everybody is making is now the NCAA comes over the top and vacates all these wins. That is what you're doing here. You're making schools now say, well, why the hell are we going to have an honor code? We're going to take care of our own here. We're going to discipline these people in honor code, but then you're going to come over the top and smoke us like this when you haven't done it before? Well, what the hell are we going to, why are we going to do this anymore?
If I'm a kid and you and my mom were always the same, you wanted us to keep you involved in the things that we were doing, keep you abreast of what was going on, even if sometimes it was uncomfortable. If I do that, if I reward your trust by telling you something that I've done, something that might disappoint you guys, and you go back on that and punish overly harshly and lock me away for all time, what am I going to do the next time? I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
And so now that's exactly what they're going to face with Notre Dame and other schools who are going to say, all right, we don't believe that this is something that has overstepped crazy boundaries. We reported it because we believe it's the right thing to do. And what's our reward on the back end? Being punished for something that goes so far over the top that why would we ever put ourselves in that position again? So now you just create a breeding ground for more to go wrong in places where it's more likely to go wrong than here.
And I know one of the comparisons was North Carolina that went through right. And one of the reasons I believe the NCAA didn't jump in on that one because it involved regular students as well with the fake classes and fake curriculum and all that. But right. I mean,
athletes taking irregular courses.
I mean, holy smokes, you look at that situation. But they said, listen, it's not just athletes; it's regular students as well. Where this was student athletes and a part-time athletic trainer, so they felt it was more within their purview to come down and do this. It just And I know people can say, you guys went to Notre Dame. Yeah, we did. But listen, if this was about school X that wasn't Notre Dame, I'd be saying the exact same thing because I think it's ridiculous when you're taking care of your own, you're disciplining your own in an honor code that doesn't involve the curriculum or it's not institutionalized here as far as the cheating is concerned. I mean, man, it's a bit overstepping.
Is there a chance, Mike, like you said, so many people are Notre Dame haters, like you said, they don't like what the school stands for and all the rest of it, blah, 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 and Rudy, et cetera. Do you think there's a chance because the NCAA, therefore, that's why they're overreaching, they're saying, well, we don't want to be seen as being
Giving a break to them?
Giving a break to Notre Dame. So we're punishing maybe excessively just so nobody criticizes us of being pro Notre Dame. I know that's absurd. Why would that even happen? But is there a chance of that? When you're a big dog, you go, let's pound Notre Dame on this. We don't have to hear any feedback.
I think it's one of those where it's like in sports, coaches tend to punish the guys that they can get away with punishing. Right. They tend to punish the people in situations. You're never going to see someone's, let's put it this way, Malcolm Butler got sat down in the Super Bowl. You're not sitting down Tom Brady if it's a comparable situation. That ain't happening. And so with a lot of those other cases, they're big, they're really complex cases. They involve a lot of moving parts and a lot of impropriety that's really difficult to deal with in the public. Right. Stuff that the NCAA we talk about all the time is well out of its jurisdiction in dealing with. This felt a little easier for them. This felt a little bit more compartmentalized in a way that we could look at and they can say and justify is we think is wrong and we're going to strip wins and that's going to be the end of it. It felt low stakes enough. The problem is you thought it was a low stakes issue with a place that still carries a fair amount of weight. For whatever you want to say about the state of the football program, wins and losses wise, Father Jenkins and Jack Swarbrick and that group over there still wield a fair amount of power in college football circles. And I can't imagine this is going to be a group that's going to go to bat if the NCAA needs it going forward.
Another thought, speaking of football and people fired up, Charles Haley. This is crazy. The former defensive lineman / linebacker, Pro Football Hall of Famer. He was on the Dennis and Kalashaw show on 103.3 ESPN Dallas and went off on a variety of issues, criticizing the Cowboys from going 13-3 in 2016 to 9-7 this past season. And he said, I blame everybody. It's one team and everybody's together, and that's the key. I go over there and I tell guys, man, Jerry built this house for a bunch of damn losers.
Wow.
And they get mad. They have to do something about it. I can't do anything about it. I can't play. All I can do is give you some knowledge. Crazy that he said, and then the egos are so big, they're so busy getting on Twitter and Facebook and everything else. Maybe they should get in that playbook. Maybe they should learn how to rush, catch, and block. I mean, nobody's scared of them. Ain't nobody in the league scared of y'all. What y'all been doing is listening to people saying you've got the best offensive line in the business. I said, who's scared of y'all? Huh? Those little things like that, those intangibles, the attitude you take, I go over there and I watch guys work. I watch them go through drills. Charles Haley hammering today's Dallas Cowboys.
That was, a little Goose Gossage like, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. If they put something in the Raisin brand for these guys, it's a bit off the norm, but to come out firing like that, I said this in general with football, but a lot of the problem becomes for the sport as a whole that your harshest critics are within the sport, so it gives everyone else credence to look at and attack.
Right.
The Dallas Cowboys are already a polarizing organization, so now you invite this out there for a team that is coming off a rough year, and the job for Jason Garrett and company continues to get put under that magnifying glass.
And you just wonder, I guess you look around at everything. For us, it would be more like Notre Dame. Could you see yourself? I mean, that's where you play in the national championship game. You're there. Our whole family
redacted.
Between you, redacted. That if you felt the same way Charles Haley felt about the Cowboys, would you be speaking up like this? Would you be going off on that as well? I mean, because that's the team you're associated with the most. And Charles Haley he played for a number of teams. Right. There's no doubt about that. Associated himself when he was a Dallas Cowboy. That's the thing. I mean, would you go off like that?
You know what? I think there are ways to go about it because you can appreciate someone being critical of something they love, and I think we all do that to an extent. I mean, hell, that pops up with like in this building sometime. You have to be able to look at certain things objectively and call them out, but the tone with which you do it also matters. And for someone that cares when I go back on campus how I'm received, I'm always careful to say I don't want to be disrespectful because I understand what these people are going through. And I guess that's the thing that's shocking is Charles Haley understands what these guys are going through. Maybe that's what he feels like gives him the ability to say this, but you think it would also breed a little bit of empathy through the course of this.
Yeah, I guess you only criticize those that you love. Like if you didn't care about the team, you wouldn't be saying anything, but I hear you. You think if you've been through the situation, you'd be a little bit more careful.
Yeah, I think there are ways to do it as well, where you don't want to be that guy that says, oh, you're going to make an excuse for your team all the time. Listen, there's times you can be critical of play, X's and O's. We can break things down that we're critical of, but yeah, there could be a way of how far do you go from a personal attack as opposed to what you're seeing on the field.
I was gonna say, criticism and constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Jerry built this house for a bunch of damn losers. May not be the best approach.
Hey everyone, Mike Golick here. Support for the Golick Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.
That's certainly the Valentine's Day song you think of, isn't it?
Led Zeppelin, crank it up here for Valentine's Day. Golick and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. I'm Adnan Burke in for Trey. As always, we're presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests in the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Mike Jr. with us for the next 30 minutes as well. Coming up 15 minutes from now, a heavy topic involving millennials, Valentine's Day. It could get a little dicey.
Yeah.
But let's bring in our man, Larry Nance, three-time All-Star, 1984 Slam Dunk champion, joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Mr. Nance, congrats on your son's performance last night. 13 points as the Cavaliers put up 120 and defeat Oklahoma City 120-112. What has been your reaction to seeing your son flourish now in his new home?
It's just been a blessing that to have him here, and you want your kids to do well at stuff, and making the NBA was pretty darn good. And making the NBA and getting traded to the team I played for, I don't know how we just deserve that. Me and his mom is really out of control excitement.
So there are, as I sit here and have my son sitting next to me, Larry, and we both were football players. And as you mentioned, you want your kids to do well. Now he's going to be in the slam dunk contest and you won a slam dunk contest. Does it kind of end there and you say, hold on, son, you don't need to be better than me just yet in this thing?
Not at all. Not at all. I want him to be better than me. I want him to win the slam dunk contest. I want him to be better than me with the Cavs because I've had my time, and I have so much fun watching him that I want him to just thrive at everything he does. So I'm looking forward to him winning. Hopefully he does.
Talking to Larry Nance in the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. When your son got traded to the Cavs, he had the chance to potentially unretire your number 22 and wear that and opted not to. What was the conversation like, or was the one between you guys discussing that?
Well, it really wasn't a conversation because as soon as he called me and let me know that he got traded here, I called the Cavs and said, he can have the number. Please give him the number. And I think he was calling saying, my dad deserved to keep that up there. And but, I got this summer. I'm going to just let him wear 24, and hopefully this summer I'm going to work on him all summer because I would be nothing proud if he just had that number on his back because he's wore it his whole career. And, he had to wear number 7 in L.A., but I would be proud if he wore it. I think he respects me, so we just going to have that conversation a lot this summer, and hopefully I can talk him into it.
We're talking with Larry Nance Sr., three-time All-Star, 1984 Slam Dunk champion. We'll talk about the dunk contest specifically in just a second, but it's just, it's a different vibe around Cleveland now. You know it as well as anybody, Larry. What is it like, do you think, as you being a former player and having your son there, just when a team seems a lot looser, you can feel like, Dave McMenamin, our ESPN reporter, said, you feel like the balloon's been popped now for this Cleveland team. What is that like, you think, for this team?
Well, it's crazy because the people around here are just talking. It's just a major buzz, and they're playing like it too. I think they all Jordan and Larry coming from the Lakers. They just they love this team, and having a superstar like LeBron on there that makes everything tick. And you just got a bunch of great players that know how to follow suit, really, and they won 2 big games, and it's a lot of fun to watch them. They look like they're having a lot of fun, and that's what basketball is all about. That's when you really do well. So we hope they keep it going.
He comes from the Lakers, which was a young, really everybody's looking at this young up-and-coming team. Maybe you grab a couple of big-time free agents in the summer and see where they go. He goes to a team that is now looking to compete for a championship right now. What is he, in talking to you, what does he say to you about the vibe of the differences of the locker room of a young up-and-coming team to a team that's ready to win right now?
Well, I think, like you said, the Lakers were young up-and-coming, and from night to night, sometimes they would play really well, and sometimes they would just, look like a deer in the headlight look. But, they're a young team, got a bunch of nice people, nice players, and I think they're really going to do well, and they've been doing it lately. And then you come to the Cavs, which is a playoff team, and those two guys is I think the type of guys that's going to polish the team to make them just a little bit better. I know Larry will. He's the type of guy that's going to go out there and work and do all the hard work and make a team better. So he's excited to be in a playoff type team, and I just think he's just going to more and more he learn his role, the better he's going to be, as well as the better the team going to be.
And I think to that end, when you look at now the rest of the season, we get this natural break around the All-Star game and coming back. What do you see as the ceiling for this team now, knowing the ultimate challenge that lays at the end is the Golden State Warriors?
I don't think they know. I'm like LeBron. I wish they could not go to the All-Star break because they're really doing well and it's different stuff every night. So I don't really think they know what the ceiling is because the 4 guys they brought in is really going to do well along with what they have is if people go get rest and they have a lot of different pieces and a lot of options. And I think the sky's the limit, but I don't know what that I just don't know what to tell you with that because they showed really signs in 2 games of really doing really good stuff.
All right, Larry, now you got to give us the real good stuff. You won the inaugural Slam Dunk contest in 1984. Now your son is competing. What kind of advice have you given him? Can you give us any insight, any clues as to what he might do out there?
I would not do that. He told me 2 dunks, and I'm really excited to see him myself because I anything he tell me, I try to picture, and the 2 he told me I cannot picture doing. So so I'm really excited to go out there and watch him and see what he do. But I'm proud of him one way or another. But I hope he win because I know he wants to win really bad, and we'll have 2 slam dunk trophies, and I guess I have to take it and give him mine if he wins.
Larry, at what age did your son first beat you in one-on-one?
He can't beat me now.
Oh, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yes.
Hey, look, you guys not getting me in trouble. You seen that big old boy? He's 6'9", 235. He's a machine. So when he went to Wyoming, I would say his second year at Wyoming, he was beginning to get a little too fast for me and everything. So it's nothing like, I'm sure you know too. Yep. It's nothing like in the world like watching your kids play. And when I could watch them practice, and it's better than any game I ever been in. And it's just such a blessing to be able to do what I'm doing right now with my kids. And I've been very fortunate to have a girl that went to Dayton, played basketball, wore number 22. We have Larry Jr. went to Wyoming, played basketball, wore number 22. And my little one is going to Northwestern, go wear number 22. Wow. So I've just been really blessed with watching great basketball. And it's just, I think you know what I'm saying.
Larry, we saw the great shirt of your son wearing a picture of you. If he wins, will you wear a shirt with a picture of him dunking on it?
I would love to. We just got to get it made, and then we will. And you'll definitely see me with it on because, it's a good honor to go win the slam dunk contest, and I think his chances are as good as anybody.
Like the man said, print the shirts. Larry Nance, 3-time All-Star, cool. 1984 slam dunk champion. Congrats on the success your son is enjoying in Cleveland. Good luck in the dunk contest, and thanks so much for the time.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, guys. You have a great day.
I'm just going to tell you something. That to me was so cool because I thought the same thing. I would sit there and go watch these guys just practice, whether it was football practice, or I was coaching when they were young, but then when they were older, just go sit at practice. I'd go watch the 7-on-7 when Mike was just snapping the ball to the quarterback and they were doing 7-on-7. Just watching their individual drills, whether it's tight end for Jake or O-line for Mike. I'd sit and watch Sydney swim for 2 to 3 hours. Just sit there and watch practice, going back and forth. And Larry's right. I got more enjoyment out of that. I'm sitting there saying this sentimental thing in front of my son here, but I got more enjoyment out of that. Yeah. Larry's right than even when I played of watching your kids do something that they love. So that was very, very cool. I did notice none of my kids decided to wear my number, and every one of Larry's kids decided to wear his number. That's okay.
No, I was going to say,
no worries.
Mike Jr., how eager do you think Larry is that he wants his son to wear his number?
If Larry has to climb into the rafters in Cleveland himself and drag that 22 jersey down from those heights, he is going to get that jersey on that way.
That's so great to hear. I just loved it.
That was the biggest takeaway.
It really was. He is going to get his kid to wear 22. I just loved how much he enjoys watching his kid. That was very, very cool.
We're going to have a talk this summer.
If you can get a shirt of your dad, number 90 with the Eagles, you'd walk around town wearing a shirt of your dad.
You wore a shirt.
I had a shirt that had him on it. That was the first thing he looked at me in the break. He goes, "You never had a shirt with me on it." And I said, first off, they weren't going to make a shirt with just you on it. That wasn't going to happen. But second off, I did have a shirt that had Dad and the other members of that Eagles defense on there.
You did.
And I did wear it. So let's see how much it really resonates with you. Thanks.
Cliff, you said you wore one with me on it?
Second day we were here, when we were all dressed up in jerseys, I had a shirt with your picture, just a big.
That is true. It was terrifying.
Shirt. It was
that's right. I do remember you having that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like 3-point stance, or it's just like going.
No. It's just his face.
Just my head.
Okay, I repped him more than his son did.
Mike, how about the fact? Obviously, Jake couldn't because Jake was a tight end.
Right.
Did you ever ask for 55 when you went to Notre Dame?
No, I didn't even wear 55 in high school. I waved bye-bye to that a long time ago.
Any particular reason why?
55 isn't really that great of a number. It's too
I've never heard somebody break down numbers like you and your brother Jake about how they look on you, and you just don't think 55 is a good number?
Well, listen, I understand that it's just a little too symmetrical, all right? I mean, palindromes are great and all, but in numbers, it seems lazy.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah.
That really got out of hand fast.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine.
You asked.
I'm sentimentally thinking about how much I love what Larry Nance is talking about. My own kids ripping me.
Nah, it's great. Yeah, listen, I got to lean into the brand on this one.
No, I do agree, though. Like, as a dad watching your kid practice, 9-year-old playing basketball, we're 0-5. It's the best.
You ever getting thrown out of practice yet? Have you gotten thrown out of a practice yet, Ed?
If we go to 0-6, I might just start throwing chairs here. Adnan Verk in for Trey today. Just Golic Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Keith Olbermann going to join us about 15 minutes from now. Talk baseball, new managers, Aaron Boone, Alex Cora, plus Goose Gossage going off once again. But it's always great to have Mike Golic Jr. in the house with us, first and last, 4 to 6 Eastern, every morning, weekdays. He's also a tremendous Twitter follow and the best tweets he's ever sent. I've asked him to tweet them again. Maybe we can retweet him from Golic and Wingo. M. Golic Jr. 57. There was a photo spread that Brad Pitt did. This was, after the breakup with Angie, and then he addressed the fact he was alcoholism. He was back. Right. So there's a series of scenic shots and such that he sent. Mike, can you describe it, what your reaction to those pictures were, and if we can replicate that photo shoot?
Yeah, no, Brad went out into nature to find himself, and it's something that right now, given the time of year, I think we can all do a little bit of searching, and I said I retweeted one of them where Brad is tastefully laid out in the ground, sort of like if you can imagine a marionette and someone's just dropped all the strings, really let go of himself in that moment, and I said, I can't explain what or how, but I definitely learned something about myself through this photo. You could just see it. There is so much soul present in these pictures.
You're a thinker. There's no doubt
man.
about that.
Deep thinker. And
my son is a thinker, and I hope you think long and hard about this one.
Too much Netflix, not enough chill. That's the headline. Why young Americans are having less sex. Happy Valentine's, everybody. American adults on average are having sex about 9 fewer times per year in the 2010s compared to adults in the late 1990s. So that's a 14% decline in sexual frequency. So that's just adults. Now, 18 to 30-year-olds aren't doing it at all. From 2002 to 2004, 12% reported having no sex in the preceding year. A decade later, from the years 2014 to 2016, that number rose to 18%. And sex is also down among teenagers. 47% in 05, 41% in 2015. So while we're, of course, focusing on Mike Jr., the members of the millennial, born between 1980 and the mid-1990s, and iGen, born since the mid-1990s, generations are more cautious on average than earlier generations, and hence more inclined to focus on the emotional and physical risks of sex rather than its joys.
What do you have to say about that? Your generation's having less sex than my generation. What do you think about that, son?
Listen, I don't get to make those decisions. I'm at the liberty of the other party involved in here. I don't get to make those calls. I can walk in as ready as I want to be. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference.
Whatever. Your millennial group.
Listen, sorry,
less sex than my group.
Sorry, we're not just these crass, sex-hungry monsters. Sorry, I look at the whole person and all.
You know what it is? You know what it is? Maybe we just have better game. What do you think about that?
Let me tell you.
What do you think about that?
Anyone who's hung out with you for longer than 20 minutes can probably tell you that's the case.
Listen, you know what this is classic case of? Deflecting right now.
Listen,
deflecting.
I like to take a mind and body approach because when we get where we're going.
Here's what I love, the explanations for less sex. It's because we're thinking about that or we're thinking about this. You know what? You just don't have it, man. You guys just don't have it.
That's fine if you want to be a volume shooter, man, and congrats. Yeah. I sit here as a receipt of said action, so I can't really say too much in this area, but...
Well, how about this? I mean, a sexual counter-revolution. That's what Douglas Murray at The Spectator said. The 1960s saw a freeing up of attitudes towards sex, pushing at boundaries. This counterswing is turning sexual freedom into sexual fear. Nearly all sexual opportunities into a legalistic minefield. It's just... that's terrifying the way you describe it.
Yeah, I don't really like all the explanations.
You lost him with all those big words. He's just I thought we were talking about sex.
Listen, I thought we were just talking about the fact the millennials are having less sex than I had when I was his age.
I'm getting more, and they're getting less.
That's all I was concerned about. You keep all your highfalutin words to yourself.
Legalistic minefield.
Just play the porn bed already. That's what I'm used to around here.
Play the porn bed and let's all laugh.
They say one of the problems is 16 and Pregnant, that MTV show. People are watching that going, hang on a second.
Hey, I tell you, that is real. There's one thing I celebrate. I pop bottles on my 20th birthday for nothing else other than the fact that I beat teen pregnancy.
Oh, my God.
That is a landmark victory in the world of millennials.
Oh, my God.
There you go, Dad. There's your porn
There
bed.
we go.
Yeah.
Woo! You and your brother and sister were subjected to this in your different locker rooms that you were in, right? When the show was on?
There's nothing like sitting in the training room at Notre Dame trying to ice up a hamstring and having to hear about your parents' sex life in front of everyone.
Woo! Had to ice up my hamstring, too. You know what I'm talking about?
What are you doing for Mike Jr., as we close with you, what are you doing for Valentine's Day?
I'm going to go home. I'm going to enjoy, hopefully, a dinner that I don't have to scrape off the floor.
Chipotle.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I'm doing for Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Woo!
Bring up the music again.
How's that sound, son?
Please respect my mom.
Okay.
All right. Thanks to Mike Golick Jr. First and last, 4 to 6 weekdays. Coming up, Keith Olbermann on the Impasse in Baseball, plus Tim Legler on the New Look Cavs in the next hour. Adnan Verk in for Trey Wingo and Golick, ESPN Radio.